Heather from SalesFolk here, and this week's tip is about buyer personas. What a buyer persona is, why it matters, and how you can create it. And this is relevant to both sales and marketing people. If you haven't heard the term before, a buyer persona or an ideal customer profile or whatever you want to call it is basically a description of who your customer or who your buyer is. In the past, marketers often use this, but they might have done something like Marketing Mary or Procurement Pete. And honestly, a lot of times those old marketing personas, which I've seen a lot of in my career, were kind of sexist and sometimes even racist. What I'm talking about today isn't anything like that. It's really more of a real, useful, actionable buyer persona that describes your customer in terms of how you would build a list for sales prospecting and other criteria that would determine whether or not this person or persons are qualified to buy from your company. If we're getting started, the first thing we should think about is title. A lot of times I've seen companies where the persona was as vague and generic as just marketing or finance. The problem with that is that it's too wide and vague. If it's just finance, you're including the CFO on the top, and you're including like the financial analyst and like the financial interns or whatever they are in the bottom. Same thing for marketing or whatever else. So instead, you really want to have a specific title or titles. In some cases, you might be able to include multiple titles such as CMO and VP marketing or something like that, but that really depends on what you're selling and how your product or service is relevant to that buyer persona. If the use cases and pain points and preferences are essentially the same with relationship to your product or service, that's okay. You can lump them together. If not, probably not. So that's the first step. Title. You probably also want to think about company size, industry, really any other criteria that you would use, like I said, to build a list or to disqualify or decide if they're capable of buying from you. And there are a lot of different things that I've seen with this, such as what software a company might be using, all kinds of different indicators, like have they purchased something or attended something recently. Doesn't really matter, whatever is relevant for you, but it's important that you have this because in order for your message and your email or your sales or your marketing to resonate with your buyer persona or your audience, it's important that this criteria is aligned with your message and the actual people that you're sending. So you really need to have this, and it can help a lot with sales and marketing and alignment both. That's it for this week's tip. I'm Heather from SalesFolk. If you want more sales and marketing tips, feel free to check out the SalesFolk blog. Other than that, happy cold emailing. Cheers. Bye.